Ladies and gentlemen, there will be baseball in October.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Go to www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. As always, I'm Brayden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5Iwasko. Carter First, too, as well on our main Twitter account at Locked On Jays. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, both at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you're new here to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. It's free. You guys also get your shorts, your podcasts, your live streams, your videos, the whole ordeal, everything that we're putting out all season long, off season long. We never stop. So there'll always be content. So hit that subscribe button. Lot to talk about. Obviously, talk about some playoff baseball now that the Blue Jays have officially clinched their spot in October. Some of the big takeaways from the weekend. Again, we won't go game by, play by play or nothing like that, but some of the big storylines coming out of the day and some of the major questions that we have now post this weekend and sort of seeing what came out of all of that. A lot to get into, Carter, but my man, we are so back. October ball, back in Toronto. No better time to be alive.
Ton of news from the weekend. Obviously, the Blue Jays officially made the playoffs. That's one of the biggest things. You get some injury updates. You get some controversial calls. You get pretty much a little bit of everything. So that's kind of what you want. You would have wanted a little bit more winning, or maybe a little bit more runs scoring in the process. But you're in an interesting spot. So all around the least Toronto Blue Jays media, I'll start here. Just looking at like some fan reactions around Twitter, especially after the first game. I mean, oh my goodness, you lose 20-1. And luckily, if the Yankees lose as well, if the Yankees win that game, I think you maybe hit the panic button a little bit quicker than we've seen. So I guess we'll start with this. The Toronto Blue Jays are 2 games up on the New York Yankees, technically 3 with the tiebreaker. So the magic number for the Toronto Blue Jays is at 4. So for me right now, if you go 3-3, that means the Yankees have to go 6-0 to overtake the American League East. And they are playing the White Sox. They are playing the Orioles, but that's 6 Major League Baseball teams. You got to play almost perfectly to win 6 games in a row. So where I'm at with the Toronto Blue Jays, if you go 3-3, you play 500 baseball, you're going to be in a good spot. But just for where you're at and how the Toronto Blue Jays have been playing, because now they've tied a series against the Rays and now lost a series and really got beat up on for the majority of this series against the Kansas City Royals. How nervous are you down the stretch for whether the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win the American League East or maybe they are going to fumble and the Yankees start to creep up slowly until eventually they may surpass the Toronto Blue Jays? Where are you at in terms of like your panic meter?
Well, you brought it up, right? The series tie, when you start off with a 2-game series lead, and then you go into the following series and you lose that one. If they would have won either of those series outright, I'm in a way better headspace moving into these playoffs. I mean, in the first 2 games of this series over the weekend, Carter, you look in that dugout, guys looked worried. You could see it on their face. Vladdy's face, like I was like, this guy is worried. He might start pulling hair out. That's how worried he looked. And some of the rest of the guys in the dugout. So I think it's rightfully so to be worried. The guys were celebrating a lot. Saw those videos online. Great for them. That is awesome. But I saw a quote from Vladdy that said the work's not over, right? And I think that's something they can't forget, because I was going to come into this segment, and as happy as I am that this team is clinched, with 6 games remaining on the schedule, I'm getting a little bit worried. I think I was going to come in and say the lights are getting a little too bright. If they would have lost this game, it would have been full panic mode for me. But no, I'm for sure worried. I think that to be comfortable, you go 4-2 and you win these 2 series, as you should be able to do, then you're feeling good. But right now, with where this team is at and sort of the pitching struggles that has been as of late, plus the lack of offense outside of this 3rd game, really, I don't think anybody would be blaming you if fans are out there being worried right now, because I think the players themselves are just as worried.
Well, in like the 5 days before, they were up 5 games, technically 6 with the tiebreaker. Things can change very quickly, as you see with you string together 4 losses in a row, and then that's what happens. Things can change on the flip of the dime. But luckily for the Toronto Blue Jays, like we said, the magic number is 4. So if you do go 4-2 in that stretch, you win both series, or you get a sweep and then take 1 out of the 3. That you control your own destiny. The New York Yankees can't do anything. There's absolutely nothing they can do at that point to win the American League East. As soon as you start losing games, I mean, if you go 500 and the New York Yankees, they win 6 games in a row, you're not going to be happy because you don't want to play 500 against the Red Sox and then a non-playoff team, even though it is the Tampa Bay Rays. And as much as they do give you struggles, like you want to be able to control your own destiny. I think like down the stretch, you want to just continue to win, especially early on in this series to make it a little bit easier just for the fan base and then their own mentalities as well. And also just for like rest. We talk about rest versus rust all the time. And hopefully you get the bye you in the American League East and you don't have to worry about a wild card series. But if you don't have to, have these high stress innings all the way until 161 and 162, that's only going to benefit, especially your arms out of the bullpen. Obviously, your starting rotation as well. But yeah, a ton of news from the weekend. The Toronto Blue Jays end up taking 1 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. I guess you can kind of start quickly in game 1. I don't got a lot here. I mean, we got to talk about the Max Scherzer start, obviously. Gives up 7 runs, does not get out of the first inning, only goes 2/3 of an inning. You had 2 position players pitch in the game. I mean, the only real good thing that I got from this game is like, congratulations, George Springer. You hit 30 home runs, getting closer and closer to Ricky Anderson, I guess. But other than that, maybe you saw a couple ejections, I guess, for the entertainment value. There's something there. But yeah, not a lot of fun watching that baseball game on a Friday night.
No, Carter. Yeah. I don't have much to say on this one. Obviously, this was bad. Max Scherzer was not good. The location, he wasn't locating a pitch. It seemed like everything was being taken advantage of, and he gets out of the game early. Then that goes on and taxes your bullpen unbelievably. Tyler Heineman, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa coming both into pitch. Not good to say the absolute least. Carter, I did want to touch on a couple storylines now that we'll focus on more tomorrow, but I did want to make sure everybody did know about it. Jose Berrios moved to the bullpen as of right now. Chris Bassitt is on the 15-day IL, which we'll get into more on tomorrow's episode, all the fallout in regards to the pitching staff. And I do have a update on Bo Bichette as well that I will touch on later in the show, but it's just in regards to his injury. So lot to talk about coming up. But the pitching stuff, the majority of that, we're going to save for tomorrow and really dive deep and have a big discussion on sort of where this pitching staff is. And Max Scherzer obviously plays a role in that, Carter, right? And our perception of what this starting rotation will be in the playoffs. This is not an outing you want to have 6 games before we hit the playoffs. It wasn't a good look. And honestly, this pitching staff in the entirety this weekend for the starting rotation, not great, to put it lightly.
I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. Like, I think it was just honestly the Max Scherzer start. Like, I'm perfectly fine with what Shane Bieber did. We'll go into the Trey Yesavage stuff in the third game, but I don't think, other than the first game, obviously you cannot give up 7 runs in the first inning. And a lot of it was like, it wasn't the numbers necessarily that were down for Max Scherzer. Like, everything was spinning properly. Like, the velocity was there. A lot of it was it just looked like the Royals had a very good game plan and they were seeing everything that Max Scherzer was throwing. I just wanted to go into some of the stats and what really happened to Max Scherzer, because looking at it, just looked like they were on everything, and that's pretty much what happened. They swung at 30 pitches. He threw somewhere between 40 and 45. I can get the exact number. It's not really relevant to this though. They swung at they took 30 swings. The Kansas City Royals, 15 of them were fouled off and 7 of them were put into play. So 73% of the time the Royals took a swing, they were making contact with the baseball. What does that mean? Their timing's there and they're on all of these pitches. They're seeing Max Scherzer very well. And you could see that when he gives up 5 runs in the baseball game before he even gets an out. So yeah, not a very good start for Max Scherzer, obviously, when you got 6 games left in the season. Chris Bassitt's on the IL. Eric Lauer's already in the bullpen. Now Jose Berrios. Again, now there's a lot more uncertainty with where Jose Berrios is going to go. If there would have been nothing that happened, if Max Scherzer would have went out and been okay and Chris Bassitt's not on the IL, Jose Berrios probably never sees the light of day out of that bullpen. But now, I mean, you have some uncertainty. Maybe Jose Berrios is thrown right back into the string of things here. But yeah, not what you want. Like, you can't blame the offense. You're down 7-0 in the first inning, and then the bullpen doesn't really help you. I mean, at that point, like, you're not going to come back. Very deflating. And just as a bullpen as well, like you're pitching in the second inning. Tommy Nance comes in, not even in the second inning, he comes in the first inning. You're down 7-0 already. It's like it's wraps. The game's over. Move on to the next one. Try to save as much of your bullpen arms. Try to save as much dignity as you can, but not a lot of dignity when you lose 20-1 against the Kansas City Royals. One thing I quickly want to go into as well, just before you do answer that, is I was looking at that game. I'm like, man, like this had to have been the worst loss of the season. So I was looking around like, hey, like what compares to this? Like, is there anything that is even slightly comparable to a 20-1 loss to the Royals? The next worst one I did see was against the Red Sox. It was 15-1. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, what happened in the other games against some of the division rivals? So just, again, some food for thought. Nothing, that is going to be insanely valuable in the playoffs unless maybe you play the Yankees, maybe you play the Red Sox. You can see some of these playoff teams. But they've lost to the Orioles 16-4. That was their worst loss. Against the Rays, it was 13-0. And then against the Red Sox, 15-1. The Yankees 11-2. So they have been beaten up on by divisional rivals. And then this one made perfect sense. I just wanted to do the opposite. I'm like, when they played their division rivals, how badly have they beaten them up when they have beaten them up? Against the Orioles, they won 11-2. The Yankees, they won 12-5. The Red Sox, they won 9-0. Their best win against the Tampa Bay Rays this year is 3-1. That's it. They won by 2 runs, and the Rays absolutely demolished them on multiple occasions. So I just thought that was interesting to kind of throw into here. But it's tough when you just get absolutely annihilated by a team that's not even in the playoffs. Doesn't matter who you're getting annihilated at this point. Like when it's 20-1, it's not going to feel good, whether it's the Athletics or whether it's against the Dodgers. So just happy to leave that one in the past. I know a lot of the Toronto Blue Jays clubhouse is in the same boat as I am.
Well, Carter, and that takes us into sort of what I was going to talk about next. How confident do you feel about playing the Rays as your final team of the year and needing to win at least 3 of 6 or going 4-2? That doesn't bode well for me mentally. That's what I'll say, because it is frustrating getting beaten up on, Carter. I mean, we remember the first game of the season where the Blue Jays lost, I believe it was 12-2. Yeah. And we thought the world was crumbling beneath us, right? For those of you who want to see the reaction to that, you can go on our TikTok or whatever. I think I was sitting at the kitchen counter just contemplating life at that moment. So these bad losses, they sting, absolutely. But it's also something that's been good with this ball club is the ability to shake these losses off and come back. Now that didn't necessarily happen in regards to this one, as they go and fall 2-1 in the next game. But then they are able to pick up the third game of the series. So it's not like it was a devastating loss that sent them on a 7-game losing streak. So like I said, it's the grit and the determination of this ball club that we've seen all year that I think can really that this team can lean on, at least when one of those games happen.
Yeah, back to that first game of the year. It felt like GTA when like you were just in the first mission as Franklin. It's like, oh crap, use a different word. It's like, here we go again. That's how it felt then. Luckily, the tides were turned, and that's not the destiny that we were going to have to face as Toronto Blue Jays fans. But yeah, whether it's the first game of the year or game 156, I guess it would be. I'm not sure if that's even right. Whatever. You guys get the point. It hurts just as bad, especially when you're in a deep playoff run. Like, that's not good for the confidence. That's not good for the morale in the clubhouse. So yeah, just happy to leave that one in the past. But do you want to go into game 2 now, or maybe leave it for the second segment here?
Yeah. We'll take a quick break. I think we'll come back. Obviously, we got to talk game 2, game 3. Obviously, some bigger storylines there and what to take away with. Obviously, we want to talk about the off day coming up, how much that needed that is. Just still a lot to come on the show here. Again, tomorrow is going to be like the big, hey, let's talk about what the starting rotation is going to look like in the playoffs, some updates on injuries, a whole bunch of other stuff to come in the next 2 days with the Blue Jays having an off day. So stay tuned, stay locked on to Locked On Jays. Today's episode brought to you by Zippix. You guys know Carter's talked about Zippix a ton. Whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine and caffeine infused toothpicks. The caffeine ones, for me, it's like, you know what? I'm going to go in the morning, and maybe instead of when I go to that first morning meeting, instead of me sipping on a coffee at 7:30 a.m. or something, because you apparently are supposed to like give it a couple beats before you have coffee in the morning. So why not throw in a toothpick? We tried the mint ones, and it was awesome. Actually, like I had the mint all day long, just that little bit of caffeine. It was fantastic. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy cravings and the hand to mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping. Available in 6 great flavors with 2 milligram and 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need the energy without the crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. Go to zippixtoothpicks.com, use code locked on for 10% off your first order. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com, promo code locked on. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix toothpicks.
Today's episode is also sponsored by 5-Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugars and 0 crashes. What I love most about 5-Hour Energy, their portable shots, is how conveniently portable they are and just how easy they are to carry on you. Each tiny shot you can take anywhere and you get the boost exactly when you need it. It's not one of those things where it's like you're carrying a water bottle in your pocket. Like you can carry it around just in your hand, or you can throw it in your pocket with your wallet. Like it's super easy, convenient. And that's what I love. You can take it in the car with you, whether you're at work, on the golf course. If, sometimes when we're doing the podcast, I have some of these to the side of me between when we're recording. So anytime you need these shots, super convenient, super portable, and super helpful in a moment of need. Enough with the boring caffeineless or flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with the 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or at Amazon today.
So, Carter, just continuing on, obviously a couple more games to get into. We'll go there, then we'll talk about a little bit about how important this off day may be for the Toronto Blue Jays before heading into the next series. I just got a terrible update. James Conner is out for the year, so that was devastating to me as Carter was reading that ad. So the football fans out there, sorry to say, that one's brutal. But Carter is saying that, let's get right into game 2. Shane Bieber's start. You're right. When we talked about pitching earlier, Shane Bieber was a light spot here, right, in a weekend. And I'm not saying Trey Yesavage was horrible or nothing like that. It's a second big league start. This stuff is bound to happen at some point. But Shane Bieber himself, Carter, continues to look good. And when we talk about a playoff starter, in which we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow, with Kevin Gausman and Shane Bieber being your 1-2, pretty much, I can pretty much outright tell you that might be confirmed at this point. Those two guys have looked unbelievable this season.
Yeah, it's been very nice. When we looked at the trade deadline, you were looking for the high upside, and Shane Bieber has been one of those guys to give you that high upside and stabilize this starting rotation. Really only had 2 blurbs in this game. Like, gives up 4 hits, but 2 long balls, the back-to-back shots. Just 2 pitches that he probably wants back. Like Shane Bieber's talked about the emphasis, especially against right-handed pitchers, with his cutter and his slider. Like, you got to get that to the outside part of the plate, especially when you establish that inside fastball. Using that cutter and the slider on the outside part, it just allows you to get hitters out in front. They're going to roll over. They're going to hit off the end of the bat. They're not going to hit the sweet spot, and that's how Shane Bieber is very effective. He gets a lot of soft contact. Against Bobby Witt, has a cutter set up on the outside and low part of the plate. It's literally right in the middle. And Bobby Witt, being a very good baseball player, does not miss that pitch and drives it to dead center. I actually thought Varsho had a chance at that ball, is unable to, be a superhero and bring that one back. But Pasquantino, again, not the worst pitch here, but a changeup again. Probably wants this one low and away. Catches a lot of the middle of the plate. Still is low in the zone, but Pasquantino's had a breakout season. Very good as well. Absolutely hammers that one. Makes Bieber pay again. Hammers it in the right field seats. But other than that, like a very good start from Shane Bieber. And I'm not going to get mad at the pitching. I'm not going to get mad at the bullpen when the offense is absolutely abysmal once again. Like, just no life from this offense within the first 2 games, honestly stemming back to that 4-game losing streak where you had the 2 games against the Rays and then 2 games against the Royals. And that's why people were starting to panic, because you saw the offense really be non-existent for like 4 games straight.
Yeah, Carter. In the first 2 games of this series, you get 7 total hits. So
yeah, third game again, like I guess the first game of this series, like you're down 7-0. Like, I give them a little bit of grace there, but when you're sandwiched between a bad outing and then 2 bad starts, like that's where you gotta hold them accountable a little bit here, especially at this point in the season.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When we were talking about the first game, that is completely mentally draining for an offense when you go up there and don't even have a chance to help yourself because you're just down so early and so quickly. So, but in the second game, I gave them a little bit of leave on the first game, but then this game, to come out and not be that team that I talk about, that one that is able to bounce back like no problem, and then to come out and really drop the ball offensively here, yeah, that stings. And I think that's why a lot of the fan base was up in arms. And you're 100% right. I was all over Twitter this weekend and seeing people lose their minds, like saying, we had some comments saying that they might not even make the playoffs now. And I was like, well,
that was crazy.
But there are a lot of people saying that, will they now, are the lights too bright? Will this team still win the AL East? Will they still win the AL? I think at this point, with the 4-game stretch that we just saw, and with 2 series coming up here against AL East teams, I don't think that's a crazy question to ask and to be a little bit concerned. So, and I think that it all stems from that 4-game slide card.
Yeah, that Red Sox series is going to be the most important series of the season. If you can win 2 out of 3 there, you're going to set yourself up very well for that Tampa Bay Rays series. But again, we got a couple days in between then, so we got to reflect on what happened before. And like at this point of the season, I'm not going to tip my cap. I Noah Cameron was very good in this outing, but you can't. Yeah. Like, you're gonna in the playoffs, you're gonna be facing good starting pitching. You can't tip your cap in the playoffs. Like, maybe you can 1 game in a 7-game series, but you don't want to. Like, that's not a good feeling if you do that. Maybe I'm just completely out to lunch. Maybe you don't. I don't think you do tip your cap to a playoff starter whatsoever. Like, at that point, it's your best on best. Like, you made it to the playoffs for a reason. At that point, you should be able to play with the best. So yeah, I don't think there really is. I'm going to walk that one back. I don't think you really do tip your cap to a starter in a playoff scenario. At this time of the season, I don't really think you do either. But Noah Cameron, 9 ground ball outs in his outing. So many defensive swings for the Toronto Blue Jays. Really did not look comfortable whatsoever. Getting jammed, balls off the end of the bat, the timing all over the place. So many hitters out in front of Noah Cameron's off-speed pitches. A very good outing. And honestly, when you look back at this Royals rotation and you look back at this the series against the Kansas City Royals, Seth Lugo didn't pitch and Cole Reagans didn't pitch. And those, in my opinion, are their 1 and 2. Like, maybe you have Noah Cameron as a 2. There's the argument there. But you miss the 2 of the top 3 pitchers and you still lose the series against the Royals. So like, when people were panicking, at least in the first 2 games of the series, and honestly looking at it now, like, there is a semi-foreseeable way where you can see the Toronto Blue Jays not winning the American League East if they don't step up in this scenario. Like, you lose the series to the Red Sox, it's free game. Like, anything can happen at that point. So, yeah, the panic meter for me, not crazy high, but definitely higher than it was. And I'm not going to, hold fans accountable or be mad at fans for, being a little bit nervous about the way this team has been playing, at least offensively, in this last little bit of stretch. And I'll make this statement now. Like, this, in the playoffs, the entire success of this team relies on this offense. The pitching, you kind of know what you're going to get. I think the bullpen, like, maybe there's some uncertainty there, but if you can get 5 runs from the offense in a playoff game, like, there's a very high chance that I believe that they're going to win that playoff game.
Yeah, Carter. I mean, you're not going to win a playoff game scoring 1 run. That's just not going to happen. So yeah, strap on your boots, boys. Start hitting the baseball. Like, that's where we're at here. You can't go on a 4-game slide where you don't score runs. That just can't happen. And that's, I think, where a lot of these fans and me as well are worried about here, because you can't let this happen. And I get, and we talk about rest and off days, and how much does this missing the wild card, how much does it matter? Well, I think it's got to matter a ton, because you can't go into the playoffs off a stretch like this. You just can't. It can't happen again. You have to finish out strong, take that rest, and refuel. And again, we'll talk more about that sort of in the next segment here, Carter. But yeah, I'm getting fired up too, because I see what people are complaining about. And I see some people trying to back the Blue Jays and say, well, it's been a long season. Well, it's baseball.
Been a long season for everyone. Yeah.
That's
it's
baseball.
Not like the Toronto Blue Jays is the only team that's played 155 games. And that's like the bigger point. It's not just, they didn't play that good against the Kansas City Royals. It's that they're not playing that good of a brand of baseball. They have 6 games left in the regular season. And like, you look around the league, and we were going to do this actually in the first segment. I'll quickly throw it into this. Yeah. It's just in September, the American League teams, you have the last 10. So that's a little bit more specific. I'll let you go into that after. But we've seen, especially recently, a lot of these teams in the American League, like, it's been wide open. The Toronto Blue Jays haven't necessarily like played their way into the top spot in the American League or in the American League. Yes, they swept the Orioles. Like, they did kind of set themselves up a little bit better there, but there was a lot of help in other spots in the American League. So just since September in this last month stretch, obviously the Cleveland Guardians have been the best team in the American League. It's been absolutely ridiculous. They have been 16-5 in September with a 10-game winning streak. And then now they're on a, before they just lost this last game, they had a 5-game winning streak as well. Then the Texas Rangers, they're on a 7-game losing streak at this point. They were on a 6-game winning streak previously. So again, that's just how quickly things can turn. But they are 8-10 in September. The Red Sox 9-8. The Detroit Tigers 5-13. This was a team that was ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays, and now they're still 4 games back, and they are just on the biggest skid of all time. Seattle Mariners 13-5. That's how you saw them overtake the Houston Astros in that division. That they're on a 10-game winning streak as of right now. Yankees 12-7, the Jays 11-8. So not playing that bad of a brand of baseball, but definitely getting a lot of help from other teams in the American League. So it's not just the Toronto Blue Jays, but a lot of playoff baseball is who's hot at the right time. And you can definitely tell right now, there's clear lines drawn in the sand. These teams are hot. These teams are kind of in the mushy middle, and these teams are not playing that good of a brand of baseball. Right now, out of those 3 categories, the Toronto Blue Jays probably find themselves somewhere in the middle, and some might argue maybe closer to that more panic level zone where, you're going into the playoffs on a not very hot market.
Well, Carter, I mean, you know what? We always talked about it all season long. It's who gets hot at the right time. It's a long season for a reason. Who is sustainable enough to get to the dance, and then who is hot at the dance? That's all it is, right? Is it, is it me sitting over there in the corner of the room not dancing? Or is it, Buddy who's breaking it down on the dance floor? And right now, the guy who's breaking it down on the dance floor is Cleveland. And they might just do it and make a huge statement, push the Detroit Tigers out of the playoffs. It would be a disaster for the Detroit Tigers, Carter. And I am so not excited, because if Cleveland gets in, that is going to be just a scary team just because they are this hot right now. And if, right now, who are you more scared to face at this point in time, Detroit or Cleveland? It's tough, man. It is tough, and it is shocking what's going on in the MLB. You have a lot of very good teams right now falling off the face of the earth. And then you have some other teams that are going on winning streaks out of nowhere. You have bad baseball teams winning series against good baseball teams just because it's at this point of the season. And don't get me wrong, I totally understand. It's been a long year. Teams can take advantage of teams at this point of the season. But I think it shows you who good teams are for the ability to come sort of out of that hole and turn it up for the last, 6, 7, 8 games of the year.
Pretty much all season, we've said baseball is a game of streaks. There's ups and downs all season long. Hopefully you get an up at the right time, and that's what a lot of teams are seeking. And we'll have to see. I think it matters a lot more when you're in the wild card game, because there's like a 1-day turnover. Yeah. With the divisional series, you do get that little bit of a break. So yes, there is momentum. You want to play a good brand of baseball, but you do get that break. You got to rest up. You got to, formulate a game plan to kind of see the other guys exhaust their bullpens, hopefully, and set the Toronto Blue Jays up for success. But imagine a world where the Toronto Blue Jays are in the ALCS. Again, a lot of the crazy things have to happen here, but they play the Cleveland Guardians, and Shane Bieber is the one starting that game, not for the Cleveland Guardians, but for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Guardians sellers at the trade deadline and making a very serious push to make the playoffs, kind of pulling Detroit Tigers from 2024, which is pretty ironic because the Detroit Tigers might be the one, having the most harm caused by this run that the Cleveland Guardians are going on. And just a heads up, Guardians play the Detroit Tigers in a 3-game series from Tuesday to Thursday coming up. So that for sure is going to be a much-watched series, not just for Detroit Tigers and Guardians fans, for baseball fans alike, because that is playoff baseball early on. That's like early access, VIP to playoff baseball. So you absolutely love to see that. But the last thing from game 2, I just wanted to mention this. Daulton Varsho, home run off a left-handed pitcher, 437 feet. Are you kidding me? This guy mashes right-handed pitchers. We know that. Not very good against lefties, but you can't take him out because he's so good at defense. Such a fun home run to see. And going into game 3, unless you got anything else to add from game 2?
No, you know what? I think let's talk game 3, but no, I do want to make sure.
Oh yeah, I guess we can save game 3 for the third segment because there's no game on for the Tuesday episode.
Yeah,
I'm used to just in the regular MLB season just having games all the time. So yeah, it's a nice little rest break for us, I guess, and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, we don't have to, try to sprint through everything because we're trying to fit everything in 30, 40 minutes, but then we end up going 50, but whatever. No, and then we'll obviously talk about the off day as well and just the importance of that. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with game 3 talk. Obviously, the completely botched call that happened. Still making waves on Twitter right now as well. So we'll get into all that, plus obviously the off day, like I talked about before. We'll take this break and be right back.
Today's episode is sponsored by Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. And that's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just the hype. This is the supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Unfortunately for me, on my dad's side, right on the crown of our heads, we do have some balding. So I've been trying to get some of my family members to get on Nutrafol, prevent some of the shedding, restore some of the thickness in their hair. It does help a lot more if you do get at it early, but you can see results at any point in your life. Super convenient, just a few easy pills a day. Usually I take them with meals to make it easier to remember. It is a quick or an easy way to, not necessarily quick because it takes 3 to 6 months, but a tried and true tested formula that definitely will help you see results. See thicker and stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For just a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB.
Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. You guys know how much I love Monarch Money. I talk about it all the time ever since moving to the city. It's been a massive, massive help. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why Monarch Money is there. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. That's even better. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch Money is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization and of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without even or ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off. 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. So, Carter, continuing on, obviously, to game 3, we'll get to the Daulton Varsho catch of it all, and which, still has me a little bit heated. And then obviously we will talk about the off day, but I guess let's kick right off into game 3.
Yeah, and you got to start it with Trey Yesavage making his second major league start for the Toronto Blue Jays. When you look at the scorecard and you look at the stat line for the Toronto Blue Jays and Trey Yesavage specifically, the numbers aren't necessarily popping off the page. I'll read off the stat line here to start it out. 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks, 76 pitches, 44 of those were strikes. ERA is up to 5 on the season. Again, ERA kind of a meaningless stat at this point. I'm more so looking for the flashes from Trey Yesavage. Yes, I guess you got to account for the stat lines at the end of the day because you don't want your playoff starter. In this at this point, we're talking about Trey Yesavage's playoff starter, which is crazy to still talk about on the podcast. But you don't want your playoff starter going out 4 innings, 4 runs. That's not the greatest in the playoffs, especially when you have a bullpen that does have some uncertainty, we'll say, like the Toronto Blue Jays do. But I think this game goes a lot differently for Trey Yesavage if he gets 2 things that go his way. So there was a ground ball to Andres Gimenez. Addison Barcher kind of cuts in front of him here, trying to make a play. If Barcher can get to the ball, it is a little bit of an easier play for him because he kind of has his momentum already going to first base. But he just kind of gets in the way of Andres Gimenez, to be completely honest. Blocks the sight line. Gimenez, if I think he has a clear path, maybe there's a shot to get it out there. But if he gets that ball as an out, that ends the inning. And then you probably prevent 2 runs from Carter Jansen on the single. That happens right after that. And then the Daulton Varsho catch, which that takes us right into. I don't even know where to start on this. The whole reason for a replay review system is just in case it is a close play on the field. I get that. But I'm not really as mad at the umpires in this game. I'm more mad at the umpires and the command center in New York and what the hell they were looking at. Because honestly, live, I thought it was a catch. The Toronto Blue Jays media broadcasters, there we go, Buck Martinez and Dan Schulman. Don't know why I'm forgetting that word. But maybe I'm just so up in arms about this call. Because again, it doesn't make any sense. There's we're all reacting hey, this is probably a catch. They call it on the ground, whatever. It's a close play. I'm okay with that. There's probably at least 2 angles. I would argue more that I would say clearly show that Daulton Varsho makes this catch. You have this whole replay review system in New York for these reasons. and you still manage to get the call wrong. I just like, where do you go from here? And how do you not expect fans to be outraged, especially Toronto Blue Jays fans that are in the midst of a deep and important playoff, or not a regular season run for the playoffs? Again, they made the playoffs now, but for a team that hasn't won the American League East since 2015, like, and with the Nathan Lucas fan interference there, like, I feel like things have not been going very well with these review play calls and these review solutions, and how they've ended up going in the Toronto Blue Jays' favor recently and in recent events.
Carter, you know what? I had a conversation, this goes back to last year, with some of the replay guys from the NHL. And just the people that have to deal with the replays and how it all works, camera angles, everything like that. I have a couple of people that I know within the replay, not in the replay room, but that are sort of around everything that goes on. The biggest problem right now in sports in regards to replay is that so much emphasis is put on the call of the field.
Yeah.
That the immediate thing that happens is it has to be 100% over, even though I fully believe that was 100% a catch, and there was no evidence telling me that that ball was not caught. So I want to give these guys the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, maybe maybe it's in the rule book and it's hard to change because the call on the field was what it was. After all the conversations I had, this one still blows my mind because this one was that clear of a catch. And you're right. And for a young guy, a young starting pitcher that comes in trying to get this out, and the difference that could make in a start is a complete throwaway disaster by the MLB. I think this is a complete botched call and a disgrace to the video replay room for a league that wants to go to not automated balls and strikes, but the balls and strikes challenge system. You can't even get this play right, and you expect fans to want to believe that your automated calling system is proper? This is an absolute joke by the league. And there are other plays this season, and not just for the Blue Jays, that have gone against the Jays that I'm like, whoa, like, how is that missed? And so to me, this is going to make a lot of people very conscientious or cautious when it comes to when the league wants to introduce these balls and strikes. And that, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot with these terrible calls, because I don't know what angle they have that we don't get to see on the broadcast at this point. Pretty much 90% of the angles we get to see on TV, because that's what they bring, right? It's TV now. Everybody, all the fans want the angles. They're not hiding angles from us just because, oh, well, we have the right call here, so we don't want the fans to be able to see that. No, they're showing us the angles. This is an absolute joke. I was pretty upset, and mostly because it's Daulton Varsho, and he's such a good fielder. He's been injured this season. Probably is not going to get the Gold Glove this year because he's missed so much time. And for him to come out and make a play like this, continually being the best fielder in baseball and getting punished for a catch that he did make, disgusts me. And the whole Trey Yesavage bit of this sort of throwing off his start is just, it's a travesty.
Well, and then if you get that catch, which again, I'm 99.9% sure that this was a catch, you double off the runner at second. It's you get 2 outs. Like, Trey Yesavage is probably finishing that 4th inning, having 5 innings pitched on his stat line.
Yeah.
If you get that call, and then you go back to the other one, the error, he gives up a single. Yes, you want him to make a better competitive pitch to Carter Jansen, but again, it's those little moments. Those we saw with the Chandler Simpson. The rob of the home run on Alejandro Kirk. It's those little moments. That's kind of a big moment. You're robbing a home run. That's a big turning point in the game. But it's those specific plays like that. All it can take sometimes is one play to completely change the result of the game and completely change an outing, especially, like you said, for a guy that's making his 2nd career start in the major leagues, for a guy that's surpassed the entire minor leagues all in one season. Like, try to throw this guy a bone, at least, early on in his career, especially with the way the Toronto Blue Jays are playing and just the current situation that they're in. But it seems like recently, with that Nathan Lucas one as well, I think this one was even more clear than that Nathan Lucas call. So the umpires and just the command center and the MLB definitely aren't too fond in the Toronto Blue Jays' eyes right now. Not going to be invited to Thanksgiving dinner in Toronto or in Winnipeg for our case.
Hey, obviously some people are out there trying to help the New York Yankees out, right? Command center in New York. Hey, let's send it down there. Oh, we're Yankees fans and we're trying to make a call to go against the Blue Jays. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Actually, that's a complete lie. I love conspiracy theories. I will ride this one until the day I die. The New York video replay room is completely against the Blue Jays.
See,
I'll leave it
I think the best part about like the whole replay system, that whole review, is like Daulton Varsho's reaction. Pretty funny because he's like, "How do you not get that call?" Like I am very certain that I caught this ball. And then I got Dan Schulman's quote from the broadcast. He says, "In an absolute gift to the Royals, 6-2, runners in first and second, apparently." It's just the way you said it. It's so funny because again, they had the same replays that we did. I thought it was very obvious. You guys can leave your comments on whether they got the call right or wrong, and how ridiculous, if you think they got it wrong, it was, because I'm on that fence. I mean, you guys can tell me that I'm an idiot in the comment section. That's a catch. I don't care who you like, what angle you have. Like, I just don't understand what the whole point of this replay system is. And I was definitely frustrated after that, not only just because of the previous events in that series, but for Trey Yesavage as well. Like, maybe knocking the confidence a little bit for a guy that, again, came off of a start that it's hard to beat, obviously. But for a young guy that, again, with all the starting rotation uncertainty, maybe a guy that, for me, might be in the conversation, at least, to be the number 3 starter. Chris Bassitt being injured, we'll talk about this a lot more on tomorrow's episode. The uncertainty with Jose Berrios, Eric Lauer. Imagine they do that. Imagine Eric Lauer gets taken out of the bullpen and is a starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays team. There's a bunch of scenarios that we're going to go over for tomorrow's episode. I believe that it'd be the last off day of the year, which is pretty crazy in its own regard. So there's one last thing that I quickly wanted to go over, and it's something that we talked about on a previous podcast. It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just in the clutch in general, and just the ability to hit for extra base hits. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has a very clutch at bat in this game. Almost hits a home run. He's like 2 feet short of it. That was his first extra base hit since September 7th. And if you guys remember, Bichette was out on September 6th, I believe. And he got placed on IL on September 7th. So, like, that's not really a good time to, kind of go to the wayside and completely lose the power that we've already kind of been struggling to find from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So that's why people are upset. And I'm not going to get like crazy mad at them for that, because yes, he is hitting the ball hard. Yes, if he can come up in clutch scenarios, but if you want that game breaking hit, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just hasn't really produced that, definitely consistently, but much really at all for the Toronto Blue Jays ball club.
Yeah, and I was going to come on here and give him his hat tips for that hit, because we don't see it. We don't see it enough. And that's a big moment, right? That's a game-changing moment. So yeah, that's massive from Vladdy. But you're right, Carter. Maybe these two, they just need each other. Vlad will be up there. He'll be like, hey, take a couple million off my salary, off the $500 million, and keep Bo Bichette around. Maybe that's the play, because Vladdy needs Bo, and maybe Bo needs Vladdy. So at least that's the spin that I'll try to run on this. But no, that was a great point, because I wanted to bring it up as well. Something that me and you have talked a ton about over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, the entire season, pretty much. Arguments that have been had, right? Other people will come on and will defend Vladdy, and I understand that to a certain degree. But at some point, boys, use your eyes out there, right? If you're a guy that's watching this and you're seeing the lack of clutch ability, lights getting too bright moments, this hasn't been a good month for Vladdy defenders. And I don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm a Vladdy defender. I don't think I'm a Vladdy whatever hater either. I'm in the middle. I call it like I see it. And if things aren't going the way they should, I'm going to say it. So I don't know, Carter. At the end of the day, this is a great point for Vladdy to hopefully get him going again. Now, do I believe in the John Schneider? He's one away? No. I think I need to see this more than one hit here and there. I guess we'll see what he does in the last 6 games of this season, and then we can make our judgments.
Yeah, if he has a good 6 games for the regular season, then the playoffs are good as well. People aren't going to be upset. You want Vladdy to show up when the lights are the brightest, and the lights are getting brighter and brighter with every game that the Toronto Blue Jays are playing. So we got to hope that our stars can, come to the surface and really showcase that they are stars, and that they can compete with other teams' best players and other teams' franchises and organizations. Because down this playoff stretch, you got the Mariners, who have a lot of star talent, and the Yankees, we've seen a lot, obviously, Aaron Judge, you got some other guys there as well. You look around the American League, there's a lot of good players, and you're going to have to at least compare to those superstar players on other great American League, and then hopefully National League teams, if this team can get there. But Brayden, is there anything else that you want to add for this Monday episode before we kind of dive into this off day and hopefully, start the momentum to go on a 6-game little win streak here?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, we 7 with the Royals win.
Yeah, no, we got a lot coming here in the next few days, week and a bit here. So stick with us. Got a couple cool guests, hopefully getting lined up as we speak, that we can have here on some episodes as well. So stay tuned to Locked On Blue Jays. We'll be back tomorrow with a full pitching breakdown, injury update, a huge, it's going to be a lot to talk about. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow again, and we'll talk to you then.